Firefighters battling a blaze at a corn storage facility in Ukraine. The attack was part of a massive overnight strike by Russia, with Kyiv claiming to have destroyed most of the cruise missiles and drones launched. Ukraine says at least 3 people died in the intense shelling, which came after Moscow warned there would be consequences for attacks on Russian vessels in the Black Sea. In a tweet, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said a bomb had hit a blood transfusion center in Kupiansk, which he described as a war crime. Most of the overnight attacks appeared to be concentrated in the west of the country. In Russia, flights from Moscow's second largest airport were briefly suspended on Sunday morning following a foiled drone attack. Meanwhile, a video published on Sunday on a Telegram channel associated with the Wagner mercenary group appears to show its boss, Yevgeny Prigozhin, speaking about Ukrainian war tactics and criticizing Russia's defense ministry. Workers have begun to install the Ukrainian coat of arms on the Motherland Monument in Kyiv. The trident is to permanently replace the Soviet hammer and sickle, which were removed from the monument shield earlier in the week. Inaugurated in 1981, the Motherland Monument is over 62 metres high and carries a sword in her right hand and a shield in her left. The work is scheduled to be completed in time for Ukraine's Independence Day on the 24th of August. After the emblem was installed, the Ukrainian flag was raised above the shield.
A deadline for coup leaders to reinstate the civil government in Niger expires on Sunday, with no sign the military junta will comply. The ultimatum was presented by the bloc of West African nations known as ECOWAS a week ago, after the military toppled elected President Mohamed Bazoum. Failure to reinstate him opens up the possibility of using force.
We want diplomacy to work, and we want this message clearly transmitted to the leaders of the junta in Niger, that we are giving them every opportunity to reverse what they have done.
But that hasn't happened, and there's no sign it will. The coup leaders have severed military cooperation with former colonial rulers France, and there are reports in Western media that they've requested help from the Russian mercenary group Wagner. On the streets of the capital, protesters voiced support for the takeover, but just how much it's backed by the people is unclear. Around 1.5 million young people gathered in a park in Lisbon on Saturday to hear a message of hope from the Pope. Francis is in the Portuguese capital as part of the celebrations for World Youth Day. The faithful brave temperatures approaching 40 degrees Celsius to hear him speak.
La única oportunidad, el único momento que es lícito mirar a una persona de arriba abajo es para ayudar a levantarse. ¿Cuántas veces vemos gente que nos mira así por sobre el hombro, de arriba para abajo? Es triste.
In the Philippines, 1 person died and nearly 100 were rescued after a ferry struck floating debris at sea and began taking on water on Saturday. Police say the accident was the 3rd to hit the country in just over a week. All those on board were rescued except for a female passenger who suffered a heart attack and died during the scramble for safety. Sea accidents are common in the Philippines because of frequent storms, poorly maintained boats, overcrowding and the weak enforcement of safety regulations. Thousands of people gather in Hiroshima in memory of the victims of the US atomic bombing of the Japanese city 78 years ago. Participants, most of them dressed in black, said a silent prayer at the exact time the first nuclear weapon ever used in war was dropped on the city. Around 140,000 people died in the attack on the 6th of August 1945, and a further 74,000 in the atomic bombing of Nagasaki 3 days later.